For all the talk that's been going on around the New Orleans Saints offense, the defense is looking for an opportunity to get right as well. And this weekend against the New England Patriots might provide them exactly what they're looking for. We got all that and a little bit of lagniappe for you on another episode of Locked On Saints.
You are Locked On Saints, your daily New Orleans Saints podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Who Dat Nation and Who Dat family? Welcome in to another episode of Locked On Saints, your daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks so much, as always, to all you everydayers out there making Locked On Saints your first listen of the day every day. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow always for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss the latest episodes. And as always, if you want to keep the conversation going one-on-one with me, take part in our exclusive film studies, Q&As, early access, and much more, you can head over to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSaints today to join a community I would love for you to be a part of. As always, I'm your host, Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson Nola on your favorite social media, your New Orleans Saints expert, credential member of the Media Saints News Network, Tuesdays on the Locked On NFL podcast, and here with you every single Monday through Friday on Locked On Saints. And on today's live episode of Locked On Saints, we're going to be taking a look at our injury report, as we always do, with good news continuing on the health front, at least for the most part. But first, the New Orleans Saints defense is looking for just as much of a bounce back as the New Orleans Saints offense is looking to get on track. And the New England Patriots give them the opportunity to get that underway as quickly as this weekend. Let's face it, the New Orleans Saints defense has not been the defense that we saw through the first, let's call it, 10 quarters, right? 2.5 games of this season over the course of the last 6 quarters, 1.5 games, effectively since the second half of that Green Bay Packers game. They were on the field a ton in Lambeau. Not so much the same situation last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we still saw a lot of missed tackles, some miscommunication, things like that. Those are all things that this New Orleans Saints defense wants to put behind them and get ahead of going into the remainder of this season. The defense is the calling card in New Orleans. Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Marshon, Lattimore, Tyrann, Mathieu, Marcus May when he returns. Paulson Adebo looks set to return this weekend. Plus the new additions on the interior, guys like Colin Saunders and Brian Brzee, both have been playing extremely well. Carl Granderson just got paid. He's been playing extremely well. But for the past 6 quarters, we have not seen the New Orleans Saints defense be the New Orleans Saints defense. So how do they get back on track against the New England Patriots? Well, it's 2 things that you're going to be looking for in particular. First of which being rush, second of which being coverage. And Mac Jones, the New England Patriots quarterback, at least for now, tends to play right into the hand of what it is that the New Orleans Saints want to do in this game. Now, everything's got to start with taking away the run game. Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott, a talented pair in the run game if you allow them to get going. That's where the New Orleans Saints defensive line has to step up and has to step in. Eliminate the run game, force Mac Jones to throw the ball, and take the ball away. Mac Jones has already thrown 4 interceptions this season, which isn't a ton, but hey, when you've only played 4 games, 4 interceptions feels pretty egregious. But then you look at 14 turnover-worthy throws. So he's gotten away with about 10 of those. The New Orleans Saints, who had 3 interceptions to open up the season, can't allow for all of those turnover-worthy throws to be opportunities that they don't take advantage of on Sunday in Foxborough. So that's going to be huge for this New Orleans Saints team. Take the ball away, limit the New England Patriots offense, and let them play right into your hands. And so far, that's what we've seen Mac Jones do. Don't forget, Mac Jones is coming back into this game this weekend against the New Orleans Saints after being benched for Bailey Zappi during their last game last week where they got blown out by the, Dallas Cowboys? And so the New England Patriots and Mac Jones are already rocky. Maybe not relationship-wise, but production-wise, they absolutely are. And that could play right into the New Orleans Saints' hand of helping that defense rebound, just like you're hoping for the offense to rebound as well. Appreciate everybody for being here for another live episode of Locked On Saints. Anthony, Rewind, Dave, Disturbed, Bruce, Let me see. I saw Disturbed. I saw Mr. Jerry earlier as well. So I appreciate everybody being here for the live episode. The way that I look at it for the New Orleans Saints, if they want to win this game, keeping the points off the board, of course, is huge, right? I mean, you want to win a football game, you have to score more points than the other team. That's just the given. But when it comes down to how the Saints can make that happen against the New England Patriots, they've got to keep less than 15 points, 14 points on the board for that New England Patriots offense and take the ball away, I would say at least twice. Two big takeaways, huge. Remember, the New England Patriots right now lead the league in percentage of drives that end in a punt or a turnover at 71%. That's nearly 3/4 of the time. Any good game of football, you're talking about 12 drives, that's 9 opportunities to give the ball back to the New Orleans Saints offense. We've spoken about that in the past this week, that exact number, those exact numbers, because we were talking about how it would give the New Orleans Saints offense the opportunities to pick up some rhythm, right? Get more opportunities, get the units out there a lot more, and be able to build a little bit of rhythm, if you will. But that also helps out the New Orleans Saints defense in building up their confidence again after being a fantastic unit to open up the season, but having dropped off a little bit here over the last game and a half. And again, this is another game where the New Orleans Saints defense would like to walk into Foxborough and make a big-time statement in front of that away crowd with a big-time away win. All right, coming up next, we're going to be taking a look at the New Orleans Saints injury report, health trending in the right direction again for the New Orleans Saints, and just in time. We got that coming up for you as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of Locked On Saints is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest and absolute most fun way to play daily fantasy sports. No playing against those sharps out there, playing against those spreadsheet wizards, none of that. It's you and your football knowledge versus the house and the PrizePicks projections. It's nice and simple. You think that Derek Carr is going to have more or less than the PrizePicks projection at passing yards. Same thing for Chris Olave in receiving yards. Same thing for Alvin Kamara in rushing yards. You pick 2 to 6 players, choose whether or not they're going to come in at more or less than their PrizePicks projections. You get those right, you could win up to 25 times your initial entry back. It's a great way to turn $10 into $250. Now, I'm going to help you get started here today. Head over to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code in all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, that is a first deposit match up to $100 for your very first deposit at PrizePicks by going to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and using promo code LockedOnNFL. Today's episode also sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp therapy online is something I have been a huge advocate of, huge proponent of. Sometimes your mind gets to wandering. It becomes hard to kind of keep it under control, those intrusive thoughts and things like that. But you can help make your mind your friend by visiting BetterHelp today. BetterHelp is licensed therapy, but all done online. So no waiting rooms, no traffic, no awkwardness, nothing like that. And you get assigned to your therapist by filling out a questionnaire so that they make sure your therapist is a good fit for you. And if they're not, you can change therapists for free of charge. So make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. Let's get it, Who Dat Nation. Wrapping up today's episode, our live quick show here of Locked On Saints with an update for you from the New Orleans Saints practice facility. We were out at practice earlier today, got the injury report as well, and got an opportunity to kind of get our eyes on a couple of people as well. Happy to say that Marcus May is back at the facility. He's been back with the team. His suspension is up after this week. He'll be eligible to return to the team, but as always with suspensions, you can be back at the facility even though you can't practice. You can be back around the facility after a certain time. So great to see that he's already there, kind of re-engaging and getting things back there. But, he's still going to miss this game. And it's very likely, too, that Lonnie Johnson Jr. seems like he might miss this game as well, being a did not participate in practice both days of the week so far. However, the Saints are trending in the right direction when it comes to health. Jordan Howden has been full all week. Foster Moreau has been full all week. Wouldn't be surprised to see both of those guys back out on the field, though you might see Jordan Howden, bandaged up with a bit of a club on his left hand with that finger injury that he had. That did require some surgery. He's stitched up and things like that, but that should all come out here very soon. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see him with a bit of a big bandage, clubbed up, whatever it might be on the field, but I would expect him to be on the field at this point. We're seeing Eric McCoy, the New Orleans Saints center, who is limited with a knee injury in Wednesday's practice, back to full on Thursday. Cesar Ruiz has already been cleared. He's good to go for this weekend. It sounds like Jimmy Graham, the very same. Ryan Ramczyk is limited with a foot injury, so it's different from his rest day, right? The rest day was Wednesday. Today on Thursday, he was still limited with a foot injury, so something to keep an eye out on, but I think he should be okay. And then Brian Brzee was indeed back this week, the rookie defensive tackle who missed Wednesday's practice with illness. He was back on Thursday, saw him in the locker room, asked him how he was doing. He said he was great, seemed in high spirits, seemed good energy, all of that good stuff. Him and Cam were kind of, messing around in the locker room and having a lot of fun and everything. So always good to see the upward spirits in that New Orleans Saints locker room, even though there's clearly a lot of focus and there's clearly a lot of urgency to get good very quickly, right? Get better very quickly. Still a lot of levity, still a lot of fun for these guys. So that's always a positive to see. I see somebody in the chat here asking about Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is still on injured reserve. He should be on injured reserve for another 2 weeks. And then after that, he's eligible to return. Remember, the injured reserve rules changed this offseason. Instead of it being 3 games that you must miss, it's now a minimum of 4 games. But I will tell you this, he was He was out on the field during or before the Saints Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, and he was he always plays catch with a spectator. He plays catch with some of the kids that are in the audience and everything. And he was out there, even though he wasn't able to play, he was out there with the team on Sunday playing pitch and catch with one of the young audience members that was out there and everything. So good to see him, still out there interacting, being a man of the people, as my good friend Jeff Nowak would say in the tweet that shared all of that. But great stuff to see. But he's still on injured reserve right now. He'll be back at the earliest after this week and after Houston, and then he should be eligible to return about the same time as Jake Haener is eligible to return from his suspension. See another question about Kendre. No change in Kendre Miller's status. He's good to go. He hasn't been on the injury report for a couple of weeks now and everything. So he's all good to go. And then mood in the locker room, like I was saying, regardless of position group or anything like that, is very much even keel, the same, calm, calculated. They're ready to play this weekend. And we spoke with the coordinators before we got into the locker room today, and there was a lot of talk about how focused this week's preparation has been and how they feel like things are going to take a major change for them going into this week. I'll believe it when I see it, especially on the offensive side, but still good things to hear at this time. You'd rather hear that than the opposite, right? You certainly would. I also want to mention that Paulson Adebo has been a little bit of a topic of conversation. Right now, the highest graded cornerback in the NFL, with Pro Football Focus at least, is Isaac Yiadom. He has been that good. I think he's like 88.9 rating or something like that. Now, you can take your PFF ratings and grades for what you will. It doesn't matter to me. But when it comes down to, when I say doesn't matter to me, I mean take them however you want. I'm not going to tell you how to take them, right? But he's played well. He's given up 2 touchdowns, I know, but both of them extremely nice throws. Came up with an interception, has had several passes defensed, all that, has looked good in coverage. But Joe Woods made it clear today when we spoke with him that Paulson Adebo will reassume the cornerback 2 role opposite Marshon Lattimore when he is healthy and ready to go. It looks like he's trending towards that way. He missed last week, the last couple of weeks with a hamstring injury. He's been limited both Wednesday and Thursday, but has been out there in practice. So good things to see there. And the New Orleans Saints could and should have their starting, at least one of their 2 starting tight ends back, should have their starting offensive line back, and should have their starting cornerbacks back this weekend. At least it looks like it's trending that way. So All right, that's. Oh yeah, and let me tell you the quick update too. I wanna get clear here because Jake over at Locked On Pelicans just went live. So if you're catching this show live, make sure you head over to Locked On Pelicans right after this. And if you're watching the show or listening to this show later, go and check out Jake. He's doing some great stuff. He had a sit down with Zion Williamson the other day that during media days and all this stuff. He's doing some phenomenal work. So make sure you go and check him out. For the New England Patriots, absolutely no change at all in their practice report. Christian Gonzalez, we know already, is going to be out for the season. Mathieu Judon is expected to be out for a long time, so I don't expect either of those two to play. Everybody else that was listed as limited in yesterday's report is listed as limited again today, the classic Bill Belichick injury report. So take that for what you will, but expect most of those players to play, including a potential revenge game here for Ty Montgomery. Yes, Ty Montgomery is again a New England Patriot on the injury report with illness, but should be good to go. So I wouldn't expect any of these other guys to miss, but right now, Mathieu Judon, Christian Gonzalez, big-time losses for the New England Patriots. We'll see. We'll see if J.C. Jackson is able to get out on the field the same week that he was traded for to be able to have an impact maybe against the New Orleans Saints. I don't know. We'll find all of that out, though. All right, y'all. Appreciate you, as always, for coming through for another episode of Locked On Saints. Coming up tomorrow morning, tomorrow morning's episode is going to be focused on the game plan. What do the New Orleans Saints need to do to win? And I went a little bit of a step further, if you will, on our previous change of play caller conversation, where we looked at the winning percentage of teams that change play callers in or mid-season, which wasn't super confidence building, right? 47%, so 6 more wins through 13 games effectively. But now I've gone through with those same 7 play caller changes and looked at the difference in points per game and yards per game as well. And I think you're going to like what I learned from all of that. So we'll come through for all of that tomorrow, as well as another live show just like this one around 6:30 tomorrow evening on Friday to get you everything you need from game designations, injury report, and much more. Get you all caught up with everything you need before this weekend's game. Appreciate y'all, as always, making us your first listen of the day every day, for making me a part of your day, part of your routine, for saying yes to me and the show. As always, if you see me, please say hi. Make sure you go and check out Jake Madison right now over at Locked On Pelicans as well. And of course, don't forget, if you need anything else around your New Orleans Saints in between these episodes, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Ross Jackson, NOLA. Hit me up. Let me know how the family's doing. Let me know how you're living. Let me know how you're momming them. And trust Who Dat Nation, I'll holla at you.